In one of my favorite stories from the life of Elisha, we see the brilliance of how Elisha's faith and his trust in God disrupted the order of things and created a new and more beautiful normal. In 2 Kings chapter 6, the story says this: When the king of Aram was at war with Israel, he would confer with his officers and say, "We will mobilize our forces at such and such a place." But immediately Elisha, the man of God, would warn the king of Israel, "Don't go near that place, for the Arameans are planning to mobilize their troops there." So the king of Israel would send word to the place indicated by the man of God. Time and again, Elisha warned the king so that he would be on the alert there. The king of Aram became very upset over this. He called his officers together and demanded, "Which of you is the traitor? Who has been informing the king of Israel of my plans?" "It's not us, my lord the king," one of the officers replied. "Elisha, the prophet in Israel, tells the king of Israel even the words you speak in the privacy of your bedroom." "Go and find out where he is," the king commanded, "so I can send troops to seize him." And the report came back, "Elisha is in Dothan." So one night the king of Aram sent a great army with many chariots and horses to surround the city. When the servant of the man of God got up early the next morning and went outside, there were troops, horses, and chariots everywhere. "Oh, sir, what will we do now?" the young man cried to Elisha. "Don't be afraid," Elisha told him, "for there are more on our side than on theirs." And then Elisha prayed, "Lord, open his eyes and let him see." The Lord opened the young man's eyes, and when he looked up, he saw that the hillside around Elisha was filled with horses and chariots of fire. As the Aramean army advanced toward him, Elisha prayed, "Oh Lord, please make them blind." And so the Lord struck them with blindness, as Elisha had asked. Then Elisha went out and told them, "You've come the wrong way. This isn't the right city. Follow me, and I'll take you to the man you are looking for." And he led them to the city of Samaria. And as soon as they entered Samaria, Elisha prayed, "Lord, now open their eyes and let them see." And so the Lord opened their eyes, and they discovered they were in the middle of Samaria. When the king of Israel saw them, he shouted to Elisha, "My father, should I kill them? Should I kill them?" "Of course not," Elisha replied. "Do we kill prisoners of war? Give them food and drink, and send them home again to their master." So the king made a great feast for them, and then he sent them home to their master. And after that, the Aramean raiders stayed away from the land of Israel. It's a long story, but I wanted to read it to you in full. You see that the Aramean army is frustrated at every turn because their plans are known to the Lord. And when it becomes clear to the king of Aram that the prophet Elisha is the reason for this, they make an attempt on his life, and they surround the city where he and others are gathered. It appears that there's no hope for Elisha's escape, but then something astounding happens. As a young servant of Elisha is panicked and melting down, Elisha prays that his eyes would be opened to see the rest of the story. And then the young servant sees chariots of fire all around them, sent by God to protect. Here's the first thing I want us to just reflect on today from this story. God is always doing more than we can see. If we forget this, we're burdened by a lack of perspective that causes us to miss sometimes the most important factors for consideration. If we look at the balance of our checking account, we might forget that God has promised to be our provider and that He's working for us. If we only consider how we're being mistreated by others, we might miss that God has promised to be our defense and to advocate for us. And not in a passive sort of way, but in a chariots of fire sort of way. In John chapter 5, Jesus says this. He says, "My Father is always working, and so am I." God is always doing more than you can see in your situation. He is furiously working behind the scenes to accomplish His purposes, to bring blessing, reconciliation, justice, and redemption, even when you don't see it. He's still working. So when this massive army is marching toward Elisha, God strikes them blind, and they're forced then to follow Elisha's leading. And it turns out that he leads them right into a trap. Here's the second thing I want us to consider. Even those who are against God's plan are still subject to it. What does it mean for us? It means that even those who don't intend to serve God's purposes still have to get on board with them. I say this often because it's so meaningful to me. God rules and He overrules. He is in charge, and even when there are plans that run contrary to His purposes, He still has the authority to overrule. In Genesis 50, you remember how Joseph said it to his brothers. He said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." And then in Romans 8:28, one of these towering declarations of the Apostle Paul in the book of Romans, Paul says, "We know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and who are called according to His purpose." Your steps are ordered in such a way that even the disappointments and the losses, the wounds or the afflictions that you experience, God is causing all of them to serve His good purposes for your life, so that what was intended for harm now would even work for good. So the Aramean army, the ones who've been attacking and plundering Israel, are helpless and surrounded now by the armies of Israel. And the king of Israel asks Elisha, should we kill them? And honestly, that would be justice. But here's the third point that I want us to see. God's mercy leads to reconciliation. In one incredible moment, Elisha tells the king of Israel, don't kill them. Instead, lay out a feast before them and then send them home. And the footnote of this whole story is that this is the act of mercy that healed two nations. We are a people who have been born out of mercy. Mercy is simply when we don't receive what we deserve. And so instead of the punishment that we deserve, God has made a way for us to find blessing. Instead of casting us out, God has set a table for us and called us family. Colossians chapter 1, verses 21 to 22 says this, "You were once far away from God. You were His enemies, separated from Him by your evil thoughts and actions, and yet now He has reconciled you to Himself through the death of Christ in His physical body. As a result, He has brought you into His own presence, and you are holy and blameless as you stand before Him without a single fault." Jesus paid the penalty that we owed so that we could receive mercy. Don't forget that the way of peace is through a mercy like this. Consider today how God is working behind the scenes for you, how He's able to overrule in every concern of your heart and life, and how He would call you to be a peacemaker by showing mercy to others.